Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Bonnie.
And Matt.
So we can talk more about the vaccine passport that may be coming to statewide release. Massachusetts talking about it with what they claim is as many as a dozen or more other states. At the same time, the state's governor says they have, quote, no plans for a vaccine verification system. Oh, I'm sorry, he said that in April. Never mind. So now they've got plans. That's how they always do it, right? Oh yeah, we don't have any plans to do that. Well, guess what? Plans can change.
Yeah, Sununu keeps saying he has no plan to issue another lockdown or
mask mandate,
but that doesn't mean that he won't.
Yeah, you can't trust these people at all, and people you'd think have learned that lesson by now, but
Nope.
It's technically not even winter yet.
Yep, that's right. So we're going to get back into that. Plus, Bonnie, you wanted to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, here tonight, so we can talk about that as well. But actually, we've got a caller on the line here who Aria told me we were going to be hearing from the folks over at Give Directly. We've been talking about Give Directly over the last several days here on Free Talk Live because we're raising some funds for Give Directly. We're actually matching up to $30,000. So Free Talk Live will match your donations to Give Directly, which is the first nonprofit that allows you to give directly to people living in extreme poverty. And, you know, when I first heard about this, my first concern was, well, wait a minute, how can you just give money to people? I mean, aren't they going to blow it on crack cocaine or something like that, or whatever their drug of choice is? Because that's what they would do here in the United States. But when you're in real poverty, things are way different for you. And Jason Waters, the CFO of Give Directly, is on with us here. We're not talking about people in, America, so-called poverty here. We're talking about people who, don't have running water, right? I mean, tell me about who this money's going to help and how it is that direct cash contributions to these folks makes a huge difference in their lives.
Oh, absolutely, and you've got it right. We operate in 10 countries in East and West Africa. We target our interventions towards people living on less than $1.90 a day, which is what the UN describes as extreme poverty. And yeah, the choices at that level are not crack cocaine or cigarettes or booze, but food, water. You're talking about a 5-mile walk to fresh water in a lot of cases.
Wow.
Getting enough calories for your family and kids. Making the decision between keeping the rain out of your house or sending your kids to school, literal daily survival decisions. And so, yeah, what we did, it's a bunch of economists and ex-consultants. I did consulting for 10 years, obsessed with efficiency and disintermediation. We don't like middlemen. We don't like people taking percentages between donors and recipients. And so, yeah, we go out to the villages, register people, you, in many cases, give them mobile phones, so they've got a phone for the first time. And we get in East Africa, about 92 cents on the dollar. West Africa about 80 cents on the dollar from the donor to the recipient. There's a lot of education, a lot of community sensitization. In most cases, this represents about, our transfer is about a year and a half worth of financial buffer for these people to make their lives a little bit better. And
let's slow down for just one moment here. You said that when you donate, when people give to Give Directly, and then you guys give to the people in need in these countries in Africa, one donation from you guys is over a year, like a year and a half's worth of living costs for them?
Yeah, we
incredible.
target somewhere around $1,000, and at $2 a day.
Wow.
That works out to about a year and a half worth of life. Yeah.
That's amazing. $1,000, that's the amount of money that one person in this country might spend on rent.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
in a month.
Incredible.
In a month in a cheap city.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so a little bit of money can go a long way in that part of the world and seriously change people's lives.
And how long have you been involved in this organization?
Since May.
Okay.
So I'm brand spanking new. This is my first nonprofit job. Most of my life has been in tech-based startups. I was excited to listen into the AA conversation that's coming. But yeah, I sold a company in November, was looking for something new, and a bunch of friends from Bridgewater McKinsey kind of pointed me in this direction. I had no interest in nonprofits because usually they're bloated and inefficient and kind of get 20 cents on the dollar into the hands of recipients. I was told Give Directly is something different. I took a look. Turns out it's true, and I'm having a blast.
Wow. Now, have you actually been over to Kenya and wherever else in Africa that this money is being handed out?
Yep. Took a trip a couple months ago and did Kenya, Rwanda, and Democratic Republic of Congo.
And what did you
went
see?
Out in the field with our field team. So all beautiful countries. So flying into the cities, everybody's trying to develop, everybody's trying to grow, and in Rwanda and Kenya in particular, Nairobi and Kigali, the capital, are trying to become international cities and doing a pretty damn good job of it. Unfortunately, participation in that economic growth doesn't get out into the countryside in a lot of cases. And doing the field visits, Kilifi, where we've been for a long time on the coast of Kenya, small communes, family, about 20, 30 people, brothers, cousins, etc., living in mud huts, living on grain. Closest fresh water source I saw driving in was about 6 miles from the village that I visited.
Wow.
And with, there haven't been rains in a few years, and so people have moved from farming to making charcoal, and there weren't a whole lot of trees left. So things are pretty rough. And yeah, like talking to people, so they don't believe us. This level of generosity doesn't really exist in that part of the world. And so it takes a couple hours to convince people we're not trying to scam them. But then kind of when they get the first transfer, we usually give them about $100 to get them started. Go back, make sure nobody robbed them. They didn't do anything ridiculously silly with the money, understand the whole process. The mobile money guy didn't take their money. And if that works out, we give them $900 and it changes lives. We celebrated our 1 millionth recipient this week.
Wow.
We actually hit the number about a month ago.
And how many years has Give Directly been around to hit that million mark?
Since, I think the first transfer was about 2006, I think.
Okay. Congratulations. That's a million people that you guys have helped out there. That's absolutely amazing.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that there's some follow-up that you guys check back in with these folks. Let's talk about the money situation there. You mentioned mobile money. Do you have time to stick with us and talk about this a little bit more?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I was wondering, if you give somebody like $900, what does that look like, and how can they use it in a place where, there's just mud huts and no stores and stuff like that? What does spending that look like?
Yeah, so in a lot of cases, what people are buying is a tin roof for that mud hut, another cow, school fees for their kids. Those are kind of our top three. Home improvements, livestock. and school fees are
Jason,
top
hang on. We're going to bring you back here. I want to hear more about this. Jason Waters, the CFO of Give Directly. And you can give directly. You can help us with this. And again, we're matching contributions up to $30,000. You can go to give.freetalklive.com. They'll take you right to the page where it makes it easy to give to these folks and help out some folks there in Kilifi and Bomet counties in Kenya. More coming up on Free Talk Live.
And now, time for something totally different. Intercoin is a project that's working to make crypto mainstream. We use the power of smart contracts to help any community in the world launch their own cryptocurrency. Ever wanted to release your own coin or build your own app to grow your business? Intercoin's team builds apps that have reached 9 million people around the world. And now it's time to help make a real social impact in your local community. Go to intercoin.org and join the movement. That's intercoin.org.
You know, when we first started Intercoin about 3 years ago, we had a big vision to help every community in the world have access to the same tools that large states and federations do, to hold local elections on the blockchain, to have their own local currency, shop local, hire local, and help fight the forces of globalization that have decimated some of these communities.
Go to intercoin.org and join the movement.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. The World Health Organization is warning that richer nations, faced with the spread of the COVID-19 Omicron variant, could begin to hoard vaccines. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has granted emergency use authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 booster shot for 16 and 17-year-olds. FSN's Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The FDA is saying 16 and 17-year-olds should be able to get a third Pfizer shot at least 6 months after their second dose. American adults can already get a Pfizer booster 6 months after their second vaccine if that was a Pfizer or Moderna jab, and 2 months after their second dose if that was a Johnson & Johnson jab. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to give the final green light before the shots go into the arms of 16 and 17-year-olds. Around 4.7 million of them are fully vaccinated in the US, and more than 2.5 million of them are eligible for a booster, according to the FDA guidance.
At a 2-day virtual summit, US President Joe Biden has said that upholding democracy is the challenge of our time. He wants to promote open society and the upholding of human rights. China and Russia, who've not been invited to the summit, have reacted angrily. Here's the US President.
Democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people, can at times be fragile, but it also is inherently resilient.
China has lashed out at a growing list of countries saying they plan to diplomatically boycott the Beijing Winter Olympics. Canada, the UK, Australia and the US say they will not be sending government officials or diplomats to represent their countries in China due to alleged human rights abuses against Uyghurs in Xinjiang. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said the boycotting nations would pay the price for their mistaken acts. An official investigation into 3 alleged UK government staff parties is now underway. It's caused huge controversy, with the alleged events said to have taken place last year at a time when social gatherings were banned. As FSN's Chris Jones reports from London.
A Christmas party believed to have been held on the 18th of December at Downing Street has put Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his government under intense scrutiny. Now, 2 other events on the 27th of November and another on the 10th of December are being looked into as well. The inquiry announced by the Prime Minister will be carried out by civil servant Simon Case. But the opposition Labour Party is calling for more drastic actions. They say the resignation of former Press Secretary Allegra Stratton, who was recorded in a mock press briefing joking about a Christmas staff party, is not enough. They're calling for a police investigation, but the force says there's not enough evidence.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The number 603-283-6160, especially if you've got a question for Jason Waters. He's the CFO over at Give Directly, which is an organization we've been promoting here as a way to actually help people in dire need of assistance. People who, as he was describing, have to walk 5 miles just to get water to drink. That's the kind of poverty we're talking about here, living in a mud shack, that level stuff. And $2 a day can make a huge difference for these folks. And we're getting into it here, but if you want to go to give.freetalklive.com, you can do that. You can contribute there and help some people in some of the poorest areas of Kenya. And we are matching contributions up to $30,000 at give.freetalklive.com. Jason, thanks for sticking with us here on Free Talk Live. You're on with Ian, Bonnie, and Matt here tonight. And Bonnie, you'd asked a question that was sort of related to the one I was asking about, and that's how are payments working over there? The story mentions that we've been talking about is mobile money. And I know I heard years ago that people in Africa were really into trading mobile phone minutes as currency. Is that what we're talking about here?
So it's got like one generation beyond that. Banks don't really function at that level of an economy. And so, most of what happens is there's, Safaricom is the biggest vendor, Vodacom, the next biggest, MTN. And you basically send credits to a SIM card, and that SIM card, they take it to an agent. Agent can hand them cash. They can spend the cash how they want to.
Wow. And so is that how Give Directly is dispersing the funds? You guys are basically sending minutes to a phone card?
More or less. Yeah, that's basically how it works. Is we go do a registration census process. We have to run terrorist screening and watch list screening and all that other fun stuff. And if we can verify the identity and they qualify for the program, most cases they don't have a cell phone, and so we give them a cell phone, teach them how to use it, send credits to a mobile money account, and then make sure they can go to a reputable agent, get the cash, buy what they want.
How well are you're talking about the middle of these terribly poor areas? I mean, how well documented are these people? How easy is this? This isn't like they've got a driver's license, you can scan, or can they just pull up a birth certificate out of a filing cabinet? I mean, how hard is this to verify these people?
So you get two categories of folks. So the citizens of the country, Kenya, Rwanda, so if they have a national ID card, basically a voter registration card that works well enough for identity verification, has a thumbprint, has a picture. Second category, refugees, right? So a lot of what we do is, people who've been, kicked out of their country due to famine, flood, war, whatever, end up in another country, and they frequently have left everything they own behind, don't have an ID, don't have... the UN does a lot with refugee registration, and we can rely on that in some cases. That is not sufficient in a lot of cases to work with mobile money. And so, we work with local governments to get people IDs, work with the UN where we can to have that act as a proxy. And we've gone as far as to, show up with cash cards in places where that works. Bahamas, after a hurricane, we did that. If we can make it work, we do. If we can't, we look for technology to help us do so.
So you mentioned that depending on the area of Africa, you guys have no more than 10 to 20% overhead as far as dollars donated.
Oh, I mean, it's as low as 4 cents overhead, and that's from door to door. That covers the New York team for fundraising, me, the other leadership team, our people team. That costs us about 3 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
In the more mature, stable countries that we're in, Kenya, Rwanda, Uganda, it only takes another couple cents for us to go out to the village and find the people and give them money. In the hairier places where we haven't been as long, Liberia, DRC, where there are some pretty significant security concerns and more complicated local context, it can cost us up to a dime to get the money to people.
So in most cases, less than 10 cents on the dollar to
I think globally overall, all in, we're getting 89 cents on the dollar to a recipient this year.
Wow.
And we got 93 cents on the dollar last year, but that was mainly due to U.S. COVID stuff.
Yeah, 90% is generally considered the gold standard for charities, right? Like if you can target that.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Outstanding. So are there any other stories that, you've been with the organization for, since May of this year. You're still relatively new. It's been around for, the last couple decades, basically. Can you tell a personal story about something that impacted you or that's something that you saw?
Yeah, I mean, so again, this week we've been doing the million recipient thing. Part of that was going out, checking in with people a couple years later, seeing what their lives turned out. There was this guy, teacher Nicodemus, one of the first programs we ran. He got about $1,000 and did some really kind of smart things with his money. He bought a solar panel to help the rest of the village charge the cell phones that they just got and charged them a few bucks to do that every month. And he talked about like the economics of it for about 5 minutes. But what he spent the rest of his time on was, he improved his house. He replaced the mud with brick, replaced the straw with steel on the roof, got some electricity through the solar panel, found a wife, had a kid, got the kid baptized. His story was, getting out of survival mode, let him find love, let him build a family, let him have a life worth living. And the grin on and that was just out of reach for him. And we made that happen, or our donors made that happen, and we just facilitated it. And that's, it's easy to get lost in spreadsheets. It's easy to get lost in economics and local money multipliers and efficiency and all that. But it's really about giving people a chance to live life worth living. And that had a big impact on me. So,
wow.
That's a great story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And let's see, do you guys have any questions for him?
No, I was kind of hit by when he said, buying a cow. Like that's like I've seen documentaries about the poverty in Africa, and there's people eating what they call it. They're living on what they call lettuce, but it's basically just grass, like that's around, and really? they boil the heck out of it, and they choke it down, and that's literally all they have. And if you have a cow, you are rich. You're like the rich guy.
Cow cuts your food bill in half for a family of 4. 2 cows gives you surplus to pay for your kids' school fees. It's huge.
Wow.
That's a big deal. That's a big advantage.
I'm glad that you're enjoying this work. It sounds really rewarding, and it makes an impact to help people like this. So kudos.
Thank you so much. And a big shout. I know you guys are big supporters of the crypto community. They gave us about $70 million this year, or $70 million to date, about $47 million this year.
Oh, that's a great question to ask. It sort of escaped me. You guys take crypto donations?
We are one of the few that will take pretty much everything that can happen. We've got our own hard wallet. We've got third-party wallets. We do a lot in Ether. We take royalties from NFT auctions, from art blocks and folks like that. Actively looking for a blockchain solution to make my accounting public source, open source, so people can track their own dollars from the front door to the back door. So if anybody's working on anything like that, I'd love to talk to them.
That's great.
Is that something that's in the standard checkout when you're giving, or do you have to contact you to do a crypto?
So if it's the standard stuff, if you're giving Ether or Bitcoin or something like that, there are buttons on the kind of donate here page on givedirectly.org. We're happy to take it that way. If you've got something exotic that we don't have a button for, give me a call. I've taken everything from wrapped Ether to NFTs to whatever.
Cool. So they can just hit the contact us button on
info at givedirectly.org, and they'll get you in touch with me, and we'll trade keys.
Perfect. All right, love it, man. That's great to know. I'm going to add that bullet point here to our ad copy, because they didn't tell me
that should be in there for sure.
And it didn't pop out at me when I went to the site. So good to know. Jason Waters, the CFO over at Give Directly. So you want to use a credit card, debit card, or cryptocurrency, head over to give.freetalklive.com and help some really impoverished people there in Kenya. And Jason, thanks, man. Anything else you want to share real fast?
No, thank you guys for your support. It's good stuff. To check out the GD Live, gives you all the stories unfiltered of what people do with money and how it changed their lives.
What was that, GD Live?
Yeah. So it's basically our blog post whenever our IA team goes out in the field, unfiltered translations of what people said about us and what they did with the money.
Is that over at givedirectly.org?
Yep, it's on givedirectly.org. Should be at the top.
Perfect.
GD Live.
Thanks, Jason. Hey, man, I appreciate you being on. We got more coming up here on Free Talk Live in moments.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, the show where anyone can call about whatever they want. And we do mean anyone.
Jesus Christ visited every tribe in America.
In America?
She's America, absolutely. There's a book that came out.
He got around, didn't he?
He was in India.
How did he
China.
get from point A to point B?
He had quite a life.
In a boat.
So they took a boat from the Middle East all the way over to North America?
Absolutely. Archaeologists went and visited different tribes and followed their myths and stuff. And none of them used the name Jesus, but they all described him as a white man with long brown hair and a beard.
Why is it that Jesus is white? That's what I want to understand.
How did a white guy get born to a bunch of Sephardic Jews is what I want to know.
No.
Well, God's white, so I mean, that's how.
Of course he is.
Was the Immaculate Conception. He could make that baby whatever color he wanted to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. Phones are open if you want to join us here. 603-283-6160 coming up. We've got artificial intelligence as a topic. What is that all about? What are, some of the latest trends in that area. Of course, you can bring up whatever is on your mind. Ian, Bonnie, and Matt in the studio here tonight. And just a moment ago, the gentleman we had on the line from Give Directly did mention that you can contribute via cryptocurrency. But maybe you're too new. You don't have any crypto to give out because you haven't taken the time to learn about it yet. And it's not hard to learn about these things. You just have to take a little bit of time. There's a slight learning curve, but it's easier now than it's ever been to get involved in the world of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Head over to bitcoin.com and click Get Started at the top of the page, and you can find introductory videos there. Just if you got limited on time, just watch the first one. It'll take you all of 3 minutes of your life, and you'll get some of the basic concepts down about cryptocurrency and some of the new ideas that you do have to kind of process through in order to get this stuff down. But it's so important. In fact, might be a good time to take a look. Bitcoin just dipped down again, below $50,000 today. It's right around $48,000 per Bitcoin right now, and that's down from around $68,000 like a month ago.
So what you're saying is Bitcoin is over?
No, I'm saying it's a Christmas sale, holiday sale right now. Now, of course, we don't know. It might go down further, or it might shoot up in the next 10 minutes.
The sky is falling.
Well, the sky's also the limit. So you don't.
That's right.
You never know what's going to happen.
The limit is falling.
It's very important to learn about this. Get over to bitcoin.com. And if you are not new to Bitcoin, you can go and you can check out their news site. They've got the latest news headlines there every single day over at news.bitcoin.com. We're going to go to your phone calls and thoughts, and we'll get into artificial intelligence coming up here in a moment. But Dominic is on the line, and I forgot to ask where you were calling from. So what's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, I'm calling from Ohio.
Welcome, sir.
So this past weekend, I can't remember what day of the week it was, I heard you guys on Free Talk Live talking about Ukraine, and Ukraine's been in the news quite a bit this week or lately, and I wanted to share sort of a struggle, if you will, that I've been having, that I've been thinking about, that I think would be good to share with people.
Sure.
Sometimes it's so difficult to, not to fall into that us versus them mindset. I heard someone say that, I don't think any of our listeners would go to Ukraine. I've actually been there twice, and
wow.
I have some distant family connections there, and I've got some friends there. So on one hand, I can empathize with them and I guess the struggle that they're facing. But then
for listeners that don't know, supposedly the Russian government is amassing large numbers of troops just over the border from Ukraine. That's at least been in the news over the last week.
Yeah, and today, it was either today or yesterday, one of the U.S. senators for the state of Mississippi said that Biden should drop nuclear weapons on Russia.
Oh, my God.
Who said that?
I can't remember.
Mississippi.
It might be Wickham or something. He's a U.S. senator from
some psychopath.
On Ukraine, not on Russia? I mean, I wouldn't support either one, but what is the point of doing it onto Ukraine if they're supposed to be like the good guys in the situation?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't make much of a difference.
It's going to be fallout all around.
It's just still, why would you say, just bomb the one that's about to be invaded? I just don't get it. Are you sure he didn't say Russia?
It doesn't. I mean, what does it matter?
It does matter.
This person wants
Which
to
one
start
are you targeting matters. I mean, still, it would start a world war.
The point I wanted to make is that so Biden sat down with Putin yesterday and said that the U.S. won't send soldiers to Ukraine to defend them, but if Russia were to invade Ukraine, they would have sanctions, and it would basically cripple the Russian economy. And to get to my point here, that might sound like, the Ukrainians deserve that justice to, retaliate against the Russians. But then I was thinking, everyday Russian people who have nothing to do with their government and don't like their government still have to be punished for something they have no control over.
Yeah, that's the most important point to remember. Whenever you hear politicians talking about sanctions, they're talking about making it difficult for the people to live, because the bureaucrats in Russia are still going to be fat and happy.
Yeah, they're going to be fine.
They're still going to be taken care of. And the people, like look at Venezuela, for instance, look in Cuba. It's the people that suffer from the U.S. sanctions. They're not allowed to do business with people in the United States. They're not allowed to make meaningful, business relationships and arrangements, and make their lives better through trade. And they're prohibited from all of the benefits of being able to trade with people who are willing to trade with them. It's absolutely tragic. And in a country that's very small, like Venezuela or Cuba, it's even more impactful. I mean, Russia, I think, probably wouldn't really be that big of a hit. They're a humongous country, and they trade with plenty of places around the planet. So I don't think Russia's going to be starving or anything like that over this. It's just it's tragic because sanctions hurt the people, and they're not the ones who are at fault.
And just for sake of being clear, I looked it up, and it says Senator Wicker of Mississippi suggests U.S. could nuke Russia over Ukraine invasion and claims everything is on the table. That's just so stupid and nuts. Like, I don't know. Let's just destabilize the entire area that Ukraine is also in, just because they might invade another country. It's crazy. Starting a world war. It's terrifying that person is supposedly in charge of an entity that's supposedly a part of New Hampshire too. It would be much better if we could just break away from that person altogether.
Dominic, anything else you want to share tonight?
Yeah, well, I was curious to hear your thoughts going back to 2014 when Russia invaded Crimea. What are your thoughts on that? I feel like that's a difficult topic, and the U.S. media, it's either biased U.S. media or biased Russian media, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I don't know much about it. Can you give me a rundown? I mean, I don't even know where Crimea is.
So Crimea is the peninsula south of Ukraine, and it's been a part of Ukraine, I guess, since part of the time in the Soviet Union. But in 2014, Russian forces invaded Crimea. They held a referendum, and the referendum said that 97% of the country wants to be Russian. So I don't know. On one hand, it's the people want, that's what people decided they want to do. But was it at gunpoint? Do they actually want to be? I don't know. It's really difficult for me to think about.
So Crimea is no longer considered part of Ukraine?
No one recognized it, or everyone recognized it as being Ukrainian, but it's de facto Russian right now.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I'm just looking at the Google map, and there is definitely one of those dotted lines separating it from Ukraine, as far as this looks like it is the national boundary line here.
It's just scary to think of all the people that would be affected if Russia does go into Ukraine. My little brother that got adopted in May came from the border of Ukraine and Russia. He was just in an orphanage, helpless, and I'm sure
lucky
there's still.
For him, he got out. But what about
there's all his little friends probably still there.
It's sad, Dominic. It's Russia. You're not big enough. You need to be messing with Ukraine, which is what 1/50th the size of Russia. I mean, Russia's a humongous country. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Thanks for sharing the call. Appreciate your thoughts here tonight, Dominic. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. I mean, I was reading about, there was a book that I was reading when I was in jail this most recent time. It was one of the ones that was in the book library at the jail. It was all about Poland and how it's been fought over for forever, basically. And it did go into some of the ongoing conflicts between Ukraine and others east of
Poland's in a
that
bad
area.
spot.
Yeah.
A lot of this depends on where wars are fought. Often you'll find, regardless of what the politicians are barking back and forth at each other, it usually has to do with geography. Like if you look at the Balkan states, they've basically been at war for 2,000 straight years, and that's not an accident. It has everything to do with where they're located.
Bulgaria has the worst pop music. It's so awful.
Well, we got more coming up here. Something else that may or may not be awful is artificial intelligence. And Bonnie, you had a story about this. Some people are complaining that it is making inequality between humans worse somehow. And you're going to tell us about that coming up here in moments. Plus, some of the topics, statistics about AI. Where are we at with this stuff right now? Like, how close are we to robot servants and whatever other things. AI is going to take over jobs, right? Like take over burger flipping, that kind of thing. So if you want to comment on artificial intelligence and what's coming next, you can join us here at 603-283-6160 or bring up whatever's on your mind here on Free Talk Live. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. The World Health Organization is warning that richer nations, faced with the spread of the COVID-19 Omicron variant, could begin to hoard vaccines. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has granted emergency use authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 booster shot for 16 and 17-year-olds. FSN's Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The FDA is saying 16 and 17-year-olds should be able to get a third Pfizer shot at least 6 months after their second dose. American adults can already get a Pfizer booster 6 months after their second vaccine if that was a Pfizer or Moderna jab, and 2 months after their second dose if that was a Johnson & Johnson jab. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to give the final green light before the shots go into the arms of 16 and 17-year-olds. Around 4.7 million of them are fully vaccinated in the US, and more than 2.5 million of them are eligible for a booster, according to the FDA guidance.
At a 2-day virtual summit, US President Joe Biden has said that upholding democracy is the challenge of our time. He wants to promote open society and the upholding of human rights. China and Russia, who've not been invited to the summit, have reacted angrily. Here's the US President.
Democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people, can at times be fragile, but it also is inherently resilient.
China has lashed out at a growing list of countries saying they plan to diplomatically boycott the Beijing Winter Olympics. Canada, the UK, Australia and the US say they will not be sending government officials or diplomats to represent their countries in China due to alleged human rights abuses against Uyghurs in Xinjiang. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said the boycotting nations would pay the price for their mistaken acts. An official investigation into 3 alleged UK government staff parties is now underway. It's caused huge controversy, with the alleged events said to have taken place last year at a time when social gatherings were banned. As FSN's Chris Jones reports from London.
A Christmas party believed to have been held on the 18th of December at Downing Street has put Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his government under intense scrutiny. Now, 2 other events on the 27th of November and another on the 10th of December are being looked into as well. The inquiry announced by the Prime Minister will be carried out by civil servant Simon Case. But the opposition Labour Party is calling for more drastic actions. They say the resignation of former Press Secretary Allegra Stratton, who was recorded in a mock press briefing joking about a Christmas staff party, is not enough. They're calling for a police investigation, but the force says there's not enough evidence.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at Olaf Scholz, the new Chancellor of Germany. He's been sworn in to succeed Angela Merkel as she ends her remarkable 16-year run. The new Chancellor will lead a 3-party coalition and is promising to implement a new progressive agenda for the country. FSN's Trent Murray in our Berlin bureau told us more about the new man at the top.
The 63-year-old was the Vice-Chancellor under Angela Merkel. He was also her finance minister before that. Before his federal career, he was the mayor of Hamburg, which is Germany's second biggest city. So he is no stranger to working in politics. He leads the centre-left Social Democrats, and he has formed a government consisting both of them and 2 coalition partners. One is the Ecological Green Party, the other is the pro-business Free Democrats Party. They all have quite different views on how to tackle many of the challenges facing Germany, but they are saying they do want to work together using pragmatism, and they are operating under the joint slogan, Dare to Make More Progress.
Alongside Olaf Scholz, 16 government ministers took their oaths of office yesterday. For the first time, a German cabinet with an equal number of women and men. The Chancellor's immediate challenge, dealing with COVID-19 and keeping his coalition together. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
And the main news again. The World Health Organization is warning that richer nations, faced with the spread of the COVID-19 Omicron variant, could begin to hoard vaccines. The United States Food and Drug Administration has granted emergency use authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 booster shot for 16 and 17-year-olds. And at a 2-day virtual summit, US President Joe Biden says upholding democracy is the challenge of our time. That's Feature Story News. Nick Harper reporting.
It's the Onion Radio News. A crazy man announces plans to stand in a doorway and yell at cars. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Dennis Fife, an Alhambra, California crazy man, held a press conference today to announce his intention to stand in the doorway of the office building at 2600 Kenilworth Avenue and yell at cars all day.
At approximately 9:30 a.m. on the day in question, shortly after I finish lunging at dogs, I will proceed to the front steps of the Simmons building and yell loudly for 9 hours. The screaming will be broken by a 15-minute fit of rigid catatonia, most likely in the late afternoon.
Among the topics Fife plans to address during his 9-hour rant, the ace of diamonds, bookshelves, the man trying to kill him, plastic bags in trees, Trapper John M.D., and papers everywhere. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of this program. Phones open if you want to join us. 603-283-6160. You can take control of the airwaves here. That's 603-283-6160. It's Ian, Bonnie, and Matt in the studio tonight, and we got artificial intelligence still to come here to discuss. We already talked about some states apparently are already talking about the vaccine passport, possibly at a statewide level. It hasn't happened yet, but it isn't wintertime yet. They're already building up the fear around the Omicron variant, and they might have another one by wintertime. Who knows? But Bonnie, you wanted to discuss AI here tonight Before we get into that, though, I do have a quote from Nobody, and thanks to Bonnie for putting these Nobody quotes together. Our friend and co-host Nobody is sadly prohibited from being on this show under some very restricted bail conditions, sadly in the Crypto 6 case, where the federal government raided these studios and our homes earlier this year, March 16th. We actually just had a film crew here from Mexico tonight that was shooting a potential documentary about the subject, so it was cool meeting those guys. But sadly, Nobody could not be here to join us. He's not allowed to be on the air under the insane bail conditions. I'm under some insane bail conditions as well, on home confinement in my case. So Nobody's not under home confinement, but he can't speak on the radio. I can speak on the radio, but I can't leave without permission from my house. I can't use an unmonitored laptop or cell phone. It's just crazy. So, Bonnie, because he's not allowed to be on the show, you've taken the time to find some classic Nobody quotes from his appearances on Free Talk Live in the past, maybe some of his writings, etc. So here's one that some might find a little controversial. He said, quote, "If you're a Southern cop, you've probably got a couple bodies under your belt that you're not talking about," unquote.
Actually, pretty easy to believe.
I gotta say, that is not fair to Northern cops to suggest that Southern cops are more likely than. I mean, does this suggest that Southern cops are more likely than other cops to have bodies, or is he just saying that Southern cops have bodies too? I'm not real clear.
Just for the context, the reason he was talking about Southern cops in particular is because there was this scumbag politician in Louisiana during the Black Lives Matter protest last year that was saying, if a group of people comes into my town and wants to be, Black Lives Matter protesters, I'm going to shoot them. And
oh, wow.
It was a episode with you and Nobody talking. You guys came to find out that he was not undercover cop, a retired cop. And that's why Nobody was saying, yeah, I'm sure he would shoot somebody.
Because he's done it before.
So, yeah. And Louisiana, I could believe that maybe they're the most dangerous cops, if not like Texas or Alabama.
Now, I mean,
Florida.
and I've been on record before about the Keene, New Hampshire police. I do think they're not as bad as some of the cops down in Florida where I'm from.
Only because they've been trained by you.
I was going to say, they've been beaten in submission by Free Staters for the last 15 years, so.
Maybe. I mean, but I think even before we got here, I don't think that they were as out of control as some of the other cops. That,
I don't know. I think there's some pretty dirtbag cops on the Keene.
I mean, Hillsborough is really bad, and they're just 20 minutes away.
Yeah, okay. You're making a strong argument there.
The cop really isn't a profession so much as it is a personality type.
Yeah, like a mental disorder.
Yeah, it is. And the people who become cops are people who are drawn to that because of their personality type.
That's generally true.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where they are. It's going to draw those people out of the society wherever they are. It's like the Nazi SS officers. Those people were drawn to that. The SS guys weren't forced into, service. They were like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do this. Where's my Hugo Boss suit,
Well, do we want to see, I mean, obviously we're not going to see the end to government policing tomorrow. We still need to get more libertarians to move to New Hampshire before we can actually have a free market and protection services. So, if you're a liberty-minded person, you need to get up to New Hampshire. It's the #1 most free state, according to multiple studies released in 2021. So if you haven't taken the time to check this out, go look at 101reasonsfilm.com and get 101 great reasons to move up here and join the migration of freedom lovers. But now they're talking about robot cops. Would that be an improvement over these out-of-control human psychopaths, or would it be
It's an improvement,
worse?
yes, because I'm stocking up on high-powered magnets.
That's funny. I just ordered like 40 magnets today on Amazon.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I'm going to just throw them at the robot dog cops when I see them, and it'll mess up their circuitry.
I hope so. I presume they've come up with, scenarios to deal with things like that. They probably have.
Humans are always going to outsmart machines. That's why, I'm automatically thinking, I haven't even seen the machine. I'm already trying to think. I have a mechanical mind. I'm trying to think like, okay, where's the weak spot?
Just pour some, something nasty on it to gum it up. Or
I got some muriatic acid out in the barn.
All right, so Bonnie, what is this AI story you wanted to talk about here tonight?
It's an opinion piece from Al Jazeera, written by a woman named Gabriela Ramos. Artificial intelligence must not exacerbate inequality further. UNESCO has put forward a framework that can help reverse the negative trends in the AI revolution. Because, government always has great ideas on how to fix problems, and they always work out. We all agree that artificial intelligence, AI, has the power to drive development and even out global inequalities. Because it can process vast amounts of data rapidly, AI is ensuring more and more people in developing countries have access to microfinance. What is microfinance?
I'm guessing microloans or something like that, but I'm not sure what AI has to do with that.
Yeah.
It says healthcare and remote learning opportunities. AI helps make climate change mitigation more efficient and can help deliver housing at a quarter of the usual cost when combined with 3D printing technology. It is easy to see how it could be a game changer in the rapidly urbanizing developing world. But AI's potential to help us achieve the sustainable development goals and to reduce the global poverty is far from being realized. As research published by the International Monetary Fund last year shows, the current trends in AI technologies are more likely to exacerbate global inequalities than to address them. And see that?
So what she's saying is that AI is white supremacist, racist, and
I don't know if that's what they mean by inequalities. Oh, I didn't know if it was going to be talking about
robots are racist.
Race.
That's what that seems to be what the code is here. You read between the lines, at least so far.
I thought that it was going to say inequality in class.
Maybe. I don't know. I have not read the story.
I just think what's interesting about this is that the International Monetary Fund is coming out and telling people, oh, don't, get better technology. It'll cause inequality, when they're the worst, people to be speaking about something like that. The IMF, they create the dollar.
First of all, when new technology comes out, it's always the rich people that get it first, because new tech is expensive when it first comes out, right? So think about 20 years ago. You remember the first plasma televisions that came out back then? These things were $50,000 and 60 inches.
I remember sitting down in a full a super professional high-end audio video stores reference room, and they had an $88,000 remote control.
Ooh, yeah.
And it did everything. All those things you can now do with your cell phone. But back then, I was watching Jurassic Park in a $20,000 chair on a 100-inch projection screen TV that was worth $50,000 with an $88,000 remote control that you could turn the lights and heat off and on in your house with.
Now you can go down to Walmart, drop a few $100 and have a huge screen television that is even thinner than the plasma screens that were 20,000 or more 20 years ago. So the thing is, the rich people get technology first, and there's nothing wrong with that. That helps the technology advance. It helps them pay their bills.
And even better in terms of cryptocurrency, rich people don't have to be the first people to get their hands on it, because you can buy little teeny amounts of it.
That's true. But I do want to hear more about what she's actually saying in this story with this claim about inequality and AI. What does that even mean? What is AI?
Why should we listen to the International Monetary Fund about this?
The number is 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
When a lunar observatory detects a radio broadcast originating from Proxima Centauri, the nations of Earth discover their first contact with an alien race may also be their last. With the Proximans facing an extinction-level disaster, Earth must choose between sending a ship on a multi-year journey or allowing nature to take its course. Saving Proxima, a hard science fiction thriller by Travis S. Taylor and Les Johnson, from BaneBooks.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, open phones if you want to join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. You want to comment on artificial intelligence and so-called inequality. This lady at wherever the hell this story's from,
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera is making the claim that it's harming the poor, I presume. We're going to get deeper into this story that Bonnie brought in tonight. And what do they even mean when they're talking about AI? I'm going to channel our Friday night co-host here, Chris Wade from Think Penguin and Freedom Decrypted, because whenever AI comes up and he's in the room, he always points out that there's no AI like we think about it, right? Like in the movies with some sort of robot that can think at a human level or even close to a human level. We don't have that. That's not coming right around the corner per se. AI is just programming. It's just programs written by people at this point. It's not upgrading itself. We haven't hit the singularity, right? We're not to that point.
There's no gray mass yet.
Yeah. So,
I saw a headline, but I didn't research it or anything, that said blah 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 invented the first AI computers that can reproduce with each other.
Oh, I've heard about this. Yeah,
but I'm
like-
not sure what that means.
They're like microorganisms or something like that, some sort of computer. Yeah, I saw that story. I took a look at it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and kind of moved along. I mean, because when I think about AI, I think about, and it is going to probably happen, and it will probably happen in our lifetime, and maybe sooner than we think. But Matt, you play a lot of games when you get the chance. You're usually fighting against human opponents.
Yeah.
Have you ever played the single player versions of any of these games?
They're really boring. If you ask me.
Because the opponents suck, right? Like the computer opponents, after, what are we now, 40 years of video game development, the games have gotten to the point of almost photorealistic looking. I mean, the technology and the graphics processing behind these games is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But half the time, the AI, quote unquote AI, characters are like running into walls.
Yeah, they're bots.
They don't know
Literally
what the hell
bots.
they're doing.
The playing against humans is infinitely more fun because you can outthink them, and they can outthink you.
Right.
It's strategy.
Whereas the computer controlled opponents, they've got like a few different things that they can do to respond to the things that you do, and that's it. And once you learn their patterns, you kind of know what you're dealing with.
And they're on some level, like I may also have patterns, so maybe the computer could, discover my patterns or some patterns that I may think in, and maybe try to outmaneuver me. But at some point, I'm going to get dynamic on it and throw it a curveball, and it's going to lose.
So we're just not there yet. So whenever I hear the mainstream media talking about AI, it's like they act like it's some sort of serious development that is out there, and I don't think it is. But anyway, Bonnie, go ahead with more from this story.
I'm going to reread this paragraph so listeners can understand what this article is about. It says, AI's potential to help us achieve sustainable development goals, which they have capitalized, not sure what the heck that means, and to reduce global poverty is far from being realized. As research published by the International Monetary Fund last year shows, the current trends in AI technologies are more likely to exacerbate global inequalities than to address them. According to a study published by PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2017, countries investing in AI technologies could see 14% growth in their GDP by 2030. While estimates of this type vary, all agree that these economic returns will be very unevenly distributed. So there we go.
That would be terrible.
So 14% growth in GDP is what they're expecting. And somebody's not going to get their piece of the pie out of this. And look, the reality is you grow the GDP, you help. If rich people get a larger piece of that, you know what they do with it? They invest it. They hire people. They create new businesses. And they give new opportunities to people that never existed before.
Right. Everybody else buys a new trinket.
Yeah, so this is the way of the world, and forcing wealth redistribution, which sounds like what this woman is going to get to as her conclusion here.
That's part of the Great Reset. I think that's what they're after. They're trying to force.
Well, she's citing the IMF. I mean, these are Great Reset.
I
think
the articles like these are actually put out by the IMF because they're the only people who are gone to for an opinion. The IMF and the World Bank and places like that. The only people you hear getting to air an opinion or guidance in the article, they don't go to the local economics professor or me or somebody like that.
Well, you don't want to go to the local economics professor in most cases because they're probably a Keynesian, and as we just discovered,
It's probably true, but they're not approaching Walter Block.
We were doing a little bit of research on the IMF, and guess who was one of the co-founders? John Maynard Keynes, who is the founder of Keynesianism, which is the
truth and the way and the light. If you go to college for
the pro-government
economics
people for economics.
Economics that just literally makes no sense when you actually start learning about the other types, or the fact that Austrian economics is also out there. You're like, oh wait, this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and if you look at modern economics, like what Keynesianism has led to, we live in a severely economically ill time, and it's propped up by, it's held together by tape at this point.
Basically, Keynesian economics is, you just keep spending money, and that will make us somehow.
Just
come out of a recession.
Yeah, but I think the Biden administration is going full on into that right now, and look how that's working out with record level inflation. Of course, Trump did the exact same thing. It's just Biden is continuing that particular system. So, Bonnie, was there more worth sharing from this story, or we pretty much get the point of it?
Well, it says, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which sounds, like you guys are saying, wealth redistribution, around 3/4 of all new digital innovation and patents are produced by just 250 firms. Oh, I know. Just get rid of patents.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I suspect they're not going to suggest that, though.
Out of the 15 biggest digital platforms we use, 8 are from the U.S. and 6 are Chinese. By 2030, North America and China will have made trillions of dollars worth of profit, while developing countries will still be reeling from the economic aftershocks of the pandemic, which we know has already led to increased inequalities and worsened poverties. Oh, I know. Just stop closing down your countries due to COVID.
That would help, too. And there's no doubt that being in a developing country is a tough situation for those folks. And we were just talking with a guy from Give Directly about helping people in dire need of assistance in places like Kenya. Voluntarily. But, the reality is, of course, the innovations are going to come from the wealthier nations. That's just the reality of it. You're not going to all of a sudden catch Kenya up, in any sort of short order by slowing down the other developments. You want those developments to come out. She touched on it earlier. She mentioned that 3D printing is going to revolutionize the housing manufacturing business.
Making housing cheaper only helps people who live in mud huts.
Yeah, it helps the people who are poorest the most. Why would I care if... Okay, sure, somebody who is super rich might benefit too. They're going to have their next house is going to be cheaper. Good for them.
Or even sooner. Who cares? Right. Like, as long as it's going towards a general trend of everyone going up in the world economy.
Right. If you could roll a 3D printer into the town with the mud huts and just start printing people new shacks or whatever to live in for next to zero cost.
I bet
that's amazing.
Give Directly could probably do something like that in the future if it got cheap enough. Yeah. This next quote from her, she says, in the words of the speculative fiction writer William Gibson, the future is here, it's just unevenly distributed.
All right, we're going to continue here in moments. Well, get used to it, lady, because you can't force this fix. Free Talk Live's video archives have been on LBRY for years. LBRY is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of it here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, LBRY launched Odysee, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off, now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odysee started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odysee. You can watch live or anytime on our Odysee channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, download the desktop app at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. At minimum, we ask you visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odysee today. video.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Nick Harper. The World Health Organization is warning that richer nations, faced with the spread of the COVID-19 Omicron variant, could begin to hoard vaccines. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has granted emergency use authorization to Pfizer's COVID-19 booster shot for 16 and 17-year-olds. FSN's Jagruti Dave reports from Washington.
The FDA is saying 16 and 17-year-olds should be able to get a third Pfizer shot at least 6 months after their second dose. American adults can already get a Pfizer booster 6 months after their second vaccine if that was a Pfizer or Moderna jab, and 2 months after their second dose if that was a Johnson & Johnson jab. The US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to give the final green light before the shots go into the arms of 16 and 17-year-olds. Around 4.7 million of them are fully vaccinated in the US, and more than 2.5 million of them are eligible for a booster, according to the FDA guidance.
At a 2-day virtual summit, US President Joe Biden has said that upholding democracy is the challenge of our time. He wants to promote open society and the upholding of human rights. China and Russia, who've not been invited to the summit, have reacted angrily. Here's the US President.
Democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people, can at times be fragile, but it also is inherently resilient.
China has lashed out at a growing list of countries saying they plan to diplomatically boycott the Beijing Winter Olympics. Canada, the UK, Australia and the US say they will not be sending government officials or diplomats to represent their countries in China due to alleged human rights abuses against Uyghurs in Xinjiang. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said the boycotting nations would pay the price for their mistaken acts. An official investigation into 3 alleged UK government staff parties is now underway. It's caused huge controversy, with the alleged events said to have taken place last year at a time when social gatherings were banned. As FSN's Chris Jones reports from London.
A Christmas party believed to have been held on the 18th of December at Downing Street has put Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his government under intense scrutiny. Now, 2 other events on the 27th of November and another on the 10th of December are being looked into as well. The inquiry announced by the Prime Minister will be carried out by civil servant Simon Case. But the opposition Labour Party is calling for more drastic actions. They say the resignation of former Press Secretary Allegra Stratton, who was recorded in a mock press briefing joking about a Christmas staff party, is not enough. They're calling for a police investigation, but the force says there's not enough evidence.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, phones open if you want to join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Intercoin. We've been telling you that Intercoin can help any business or organization launch their own currency or raise money using their own token. Now Intercoin has launched its investor token worldwide. For the first time, you can get it on an exchange. It's called XMarkets, exmarkets.com. With just an email address, you can register there and keep your privacy intact, and then deposit dozens of different cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, trade them for Tether, and then use those Tethers to buy ITR, which is the Intercoin Investor Token. You can learn more about the Intercoin vision at intercoin.org and buy or sell ITR on xmarkets.com. exmarkets.com. You just might be advancing the cause of liberty around the world. We go to our co-host, who has unfortunately been out for the last couple weeks. Joa is on the line from Breaking the Flaw, his channel on Odyssey and YouTube. Joa, you, from what I understand, you got arrested on your birthday?
I did.
Jeez.
Wrongfully.
Well, of course.
Wrongfully arrested.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they, the sheriffs are doing what they're supposed to do, but yeah, apparently it was an error in the court system to the DMV.
Whoops.
And yeah, and this has been ongoing, and I should be getting reimbursed for a couple reinstatement fees. And
how about your lost time?
Things too.
I mean, how much time did you
your
have
birthday party?
Yeah, you missed your party.
Well, I didn't miss my party.
Oh, really?
I just was on my way. I was going to. No, I didn't miss it. I was totally there.
Oh, okay,
it was
cool.
Great. And but, hey, I would say this is one thing I love about the community is I didn't ask for a party, and people just brought themselves there. They knew I'd be there, and yeah.
I thought you were on your way to the party when you got arrested. I mean, that sounds like you were at least late.
I was gonna go there. I was going there first.
Okay.
I stopped there first, and then change and go back, and they got me. And
damn.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how they did it. And I really felt threatened with my life at one point too, because the supervisor was not kind, and I was open carrying, and that's what we do here in New Hampshire.
Now, you're a First Amendment auditor. You're constantly recording your interactions with not just police, but all kinds of bureaucrats of all shapes and sizes. And so is there footage of this arrest?
There is. I had my body cam running in the car the whole
Nice.
time, so we're going to see what that reveals. I actually haven't even looked at it yet.
Oh, okay. So it's not yet on your channel at this point?
No, see, I had abandoned my vehicle for a few days, and just happened to be in there, and so I've been busy, really.
Yeah.
I've been on the phone, guys, for about, 20 20 hours maybe total.
So you had your license
waiting.
suspended over a fine that you'd already paid, you told me, twice.
Yes, I've already had paid for it twice. So the second time, I didn't know why I was paying for it a second time, but they had suspended my license. I've paid for that same thing 3 times.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just because I want to be able to drive, right?
And they still arrested you. They never cleared the thing in the system.
Right, so it was a clear default on a ticket, which I actually did community service for, and I was happy to do it with the Shire Church.
Mm-hmm.
And and I paid off my ticket. It was all cleared, but for some reason, actually, I think I know what the reason is because they admitted this to me, is that they actually put my ID number in wrong.
When they were inputting the payment info?
Yeah, Hillsborough Court. That's correct. Yeah.
I'm sure it was on purpose. Yeah, I meant to say an accident too.
Wow. Okay. So now you're facing charges. You're expecting that they're going to drop these charges. And driving, I presume driving while license suspended is the charge. Did they hit you with anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Just
but
that one.
They sure spent more time on the side of the road looking at my gun. They didn't care about much else, I tell you.
Wow.
It seems like if it's their clerical error, it should be something that jumps right to the front of the line and they immediately take care of it for you.
Oh, we're so sorry,
right,
sir.
Right. Like, I shouldn't have to do any work, right?
Yeah.
They should just be like jumping because they're public servants and they don't want to do anyone wrong.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. No, they're all about service.
Yeah. They can't wait to be their best.
All right. So basically, that's why you're not here on Thursday nights, is because you don't want to drive here because they're going to, until this gets cleared up, you might get arrested again. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just it's such a headache. I believe I got most of it cleared up, but I need the charges dropped. I need from Cheshire, because it was Cheshire Sheriff's actually pulled me over and arrested me, which is really interesting because you don't usually see them pulling people over like that.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, really strange.
Very strange.
But,
folks can follow you online. As I said, you do a Odyssey channel, which is, of course, better than YouTube, but you're still on YouTube for now. Over at channel name Breaking the Flaw. So check him out. Obviously, you're not going around doing a lot of the First Amendment audits because you can't physically get somewhere unless someone drives you to it. But I imagine you got plenty of footage that you can be editing and putting fresh stuff online. You got your hands full always.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be producing some fresh new content for y'all.
Sweet.
Yeah, I got a nice new laptop, be able to edit things well, and
nice.
Should be better.
All right, cool, Joe. Anything else you want to share with our audience tonight?
No, and I just want to say, I'm trying to encourage as many First Amendment auditors to call in, and maybe we can get some to call in. I'm going to keep spreading the word amongst these live chats and stuff. And,
all right, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Glad you're out there and all right, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Great. Thanks, Ian.
That's Joe there from, thank you, from Breaking the Flaw. Be sure to check him out. Does amazing work. Super ballsy activist. Love that stuff. And love the fact that there's at least a few of those guys that are really active up here in New Hampshire. And, the more the merrier, the more people we can get holding these bureaucrats accountable, the better off we all are.
Yep. Joe's work, I think, is just invaluable at showing people what these bureaucrats are actually like. Like the fact that...
How rude that they can be.
Or just the fact that they believe that they aren't even supposed to be filmed until they learn through this process, actually it's totally legal for him to film me.
Yeah, there's like something called the 8th Amendment of the New Hampshire Constitution, if I recall correctly, that says government should be open and accountable. That's in the New Hampshire Constitution. So, yeah, he should be able to record, and so should you.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to record bureaucrats every interaction, at least learn your phone and learn how to use your recording feature on the phone, so that way if some bureaucrat starts giving you trouble, just say, "Excuse me, one moment."
Do you mind getting that on the record?
Yeah, pull that phone out and say, "Excuse me, can you say that again?" Right? So you can just have it ready to go if you're not going to just constantly do it like he does, which is I love that. But these guys need to get used to being on the record. They need to get used to people seeing that, how they behave, and then maybe they'll change how their attitude. I don't know.
I have zero hope for them.
Yeah.
Zero.
Well, the best thing I think that we can do besides encourage people like Joe and support them directly and, help them by watching and liking their videos, donating directly to them and sharing them is to get more people like him here in New Hampshire.
They're truly doing the Lord's work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he said, I don't think that they're ever going to change their attitudes, but they might be tired of having to deal with New Hampshireites or whatever you call us.
Some of them will quit. Some of them will leave.
Or, go be a bureaucrat in Massachusetts.
Exactly.
From what I've seen in the past, though, it's usually the ones that aren't absolutely horrible that get a straight job.
Yeah, that's true. They get tired of all the crap.
They get tired of it. And, like I said, I have a family member who's a cop, and they've basically done everything they can to run him out of the department. They hate his guts. And he's a very well-respected person in his community, too, by everybody. And I think that's why the rest of the cops hate him.
Coming up, a website called Tidio did a survey about AI trends in 2021. And what do people actually think about it? What are they, what's the latest with AI statistical? Give you one of them to start out here. 69% approximately of college graduates believe AI could take their job or make it irrelevant in just a few years. These are people who are college graduates. So just throw away that diploma because it's completely worthless. And if you're not yet in college, kids, don't bother.
Yeah, waste the time.
Learn to fix robots.
Yeah, there you go. For the most part, college is a total waste of time, total waste of money. But we'll get into this here in moments. You can share your thoughts on Free Talk Live. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? you can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Joining you in the studio tonight, Ian here.
And Bonnie.
And Matt.
Don't forget, you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. And if you want to help out Free Talk Live with what we do here, help us get the ideas of liberty on more great radio stations. We're on over 185 radio stations coast to coast throughout the week at various different times. The total per week is 185 stations. So thanks to all those great stations, but also thanks to listeners like James Hellerman for joining the Free Talk Live AMPS program. It is brand new. We used to have the AMP program. It is now AMPS. It stands for Advertise, Markets, Promote, and Support of Free Talk Live. So it is now on the Patreon platform. And if you would like to learn more about it and join, as James has done, he is at gold level, which means James is contributing at least $10 a month to AMPS. You can go to amps.freetalklive.com. That's amps.freetalklive.com. We definitely appreciate the support. And by the way, I do want to let people chatting out there know in various different chat rooms, we're streaming on something like a dozen video streaming platforms out there. And we do see your chats, but if you want to be commenting with us, the best way to do it is to call in. It's a call-in talk show. We'd love to have more, interactions on the phones. But I do look over and read the chats. Usually it's not during the show segments, so sometimes during one of the breaks, but not every break, because usually I'm doing other things like, researching a topic or answering phones, that sort of thing. So we don't have a producer here. We do all the work ourselves in this studio. So everyone you see on the cameras is everyone that's involved here at Free Talk Live. There's not some huge budget with a bunch of people, running a board or answering phones for us. Anyway, so feel free to join us. The number's there on your screen. It's 603-283-6160. Recently, Boston Dynamics released video of dancing robots. Have you guys seen this stuff?
Yes.
Not the dancing ones necessarily, but I've seen their dogs.
The dog one is super creepy.
How about the one where the robot runs around and does jumping flips and stuff?
That's scary.
Pretty crazy stuff. So they asked 1,200 people over at Tidio.com, Tidio.com, and asked people questions about, what form should AI take to inspire trust? What responsibilities are we willing to delegate to artificial intelligence? Which professions will be automated by machines and software? And here's some of the statistics that they claim are 9 shocking AI stats. The survey revealed that more and more people are open to the idea of incorporating AI into their daily lives. They don't mind AI taking over everyday tasks or being involved in decision-making processes. On the other hand, AI adoption is fraught with doubts and concerns about risks. Here are some of the more interesting trends. So, as I mentioned before, 69% roughly of college graduates believe AI could take their job or make it irrelevant in a few years.
Not your job, then. It's the robot's job.
Well, that's an important point about jobs generally that you've just touched on there, Bonnie. It's not your job. You may be in that position, and you may be good at that position, but ultimately, it's the owner of the company's job. And the owner of the company has to do what they consider to be the best thing for their business and the best thing to keep their business profitable. And if that's eliminating humans from a particular line of work and replacing those people with machines, that's the decision that they're going to have to make. And so it is not your job. You have no claim over that job.
When I worked at Walmart, I would always tell the other workers, I can't wait for this to just be a giant vending machine. Like people that
it should be.
People just go into like the parking lot with, one of those things like at a bank that sends you
those vacuum tubes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they put on a little tablet what they want, and then the vacuum tube just sends what they ordered right there, and it's just a giant vending machine. And the people at Walmart would always say, but I would be out of a job. And I'd be like, I don't care. I also shop at Walmart. I'd rather go to a giant vending machine than shop at Walmart. It sucks.
It gives me visions of service merchandise. Do you
I remember
that.
What's
I
that?
used to love going there.
You got to describe it for Bonnie because it was so weird.
Yeah, service merchandise was basically like a catalog showroom kind of place. And when you walked in, right behind the cashier's desk, there was like this conveyor belt that came down out of the ceiling. And there were like gnomes in the ceiling that would magically put your package, what you bought off the floor, onto the conveyor belt, and it'll come down out of the ceiling, and it was so cool. And there it is. Oh, the number matches our tag. We can go now, and you'd have your new TV or VCR.
Yeah, so
piece of jewelry or
instead
whatever.
of like a Walmart where there was inventory just on the floor that you'd put in a shopping cart,
It just came out of the
you'd get a little tag.
warehouse.
You'd go and you'd look on the display of whatever's in the store for the thing that you wanted, whether it's a piece of furniture or a video game or whatever.
They had everything.
You'd take a tag from the shelf. They'd have like paper tags, if I recall correctly. And then you'd walk up, you'd give it to the person at the front, and then someone behind the scenes in the stock room just shoves it out, shoves it down a rack, and then it comes down. And
why did they stop that? That's awesome.
I don't know. It was so cool.
I don't think that's an interesting question. That'd be something we could look into. What I presume they're out of business. I haven't
seen them in a long time.
I know they closed the one in Florida where I grew up, but I suspect the reason they tried that model in the first place was because of shrink. Right? Like if everything's in the stock room, no one's going to shove a TV, down their pants and try to walk out the front door or just barrel out with something in their shopping cart. So I suspect it was all about reducing costs from that.
And defunct in 2002, it says.
Yeah.
That's so weird. But even if Walmart was a giant vending machine, they would still need human people to go and stock up the deliveries, maybe move things.
Yeah.
So it seems like pretty much exactly what I was talking about. I wonder why it didn't work out.
Yeah, well, we'll look into
that. The company lost market share in its housewares and electronics sectors and to giant discounters such as Walmart and Bed Bath & Beyond, and later Best Buy and Circuit City.
They just got crushed.
People might think that I sound mean or rude when I'm saying I didn't care if my fellow employees lost their jobs because Walmart turned into a vending machine. But the reality is they would still have jobs. They're the lowest. I mean, the people that I worked with at Walmart for the most part are like the lowest. Not achieving and low skill, but also lowest wanting to do as much as they could for their lives people.
They had no ambitions.
Lowest ambition people. So if you want to be the lowest ambition person in the robot world, you can be the person who dusts the robots. And if that doesn't make you enough money, you're going to have to get some more ambition and energy. These people would be like, ugh, it's time for us to go face the shelves and just act like it was so hard. And, I just can't stand people like that.
It sounds like you were the right person to leave that job.
Yeah, I quit on Halloween because they scheduled me.
Which was the right move.
I think that with service merchandise, it was probably, I'm just going to guess, just from my few experiences of shopping there, you had to wait. Right? There wasn't that instant gratification of, ooh, grab the Lego thing, put it in as a kid, right? That's what I was interested in back then.
Sure.
Grab the Legos off the shelf, put it in the cart, and go check out. No, you had to go and give a ticket, and then you had to wait till the thing came on the conveyor belt. And so you didn't have that instant gratification, and that's what people are looking for. They're not looking to wait around. And
I thought the conveyor belt was so cool, though. Here
was
it
unusual.
Comes. That's ours, Dad.
Oh, and you reminded me, on Tuesday, you and Ario were wondering, what is the Tickle Me Elmo of the year? I haven't worked at Walmart since 2019, but when I worked there, I worked in the toy section, and it was absolutely LOLOMG dolls.
Those are those girls' dolls that have like the secrets. Is that right?
Yeah, well, they have like surprises and stuff like that. Like,
gotcha.
You can get a little container and not know which doll you bought, but they're just like big heads, little bodies, and that was
and
like
those
the
are big this
big
year.
thing.
You're saying?
They're probably still big this year, but oh my god, it was like they were flying off the shelves
You're saying in the past.
in 2019.
Okay.
Christmas 2019, yeah.
Cashiers, drivers, and translators are among the jobs most likely to be replaced, according to respondents. 63% of respondents said cashiers, 51% said drivers, and translators are going to be taken over by AI technology. And, those seem like pretty good guesses, right?
Yeah.
And translation, I mean, the Google Translate's a pretty darn effective app.
It'll get you past. It'll get you by where you need to go.
About 25% of respondents also believe customer service representatives and warehouse workers are next in line. Well, you better believe Amazon is working hard to figure out ways to automate warehouse workers.
Yep.
They're bringing as many machines into those warehouses as they possibly can. But yet they still have people running around on the floor trying to bring one thing from one place to another.
Yeah, I was also wondering how much they try to fudge the numbers, because all you ever hear about is how overworked the Amazon people are, and it's like not even funny. They're and they're serious. They're getting crushed there. If you work at Amazon, it ain't an easy life.
Some people love it.
I know.
And it's interesting because like there was this one lady, I remember seeing a story where, of course there was the sort of the perspective that, oh my God, this is so brutal. And then they interviewed this one lady who's like, I've lost 100 pounds. She loves it. There's more
Thanks,
coming up
Amazon.
Here. Hour number 3 is on the way. Your thoughts on AI are welcome on Free Talk Live. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. actor Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct. Prosecutors say he lied to police about being the victim of a racist and homophobic assault. FSN's U.S. correspondent Rachel Silverman has details.
The Chicago jury found the actor Jussie Smollett guilty after deliberating for more than 9 hours. The trial stemmed from an incident in January 2019. Smollett told police he was set upon by 2 assailants who yelled a Trump slogan, dumped a chemical substance on him, and tied a noose around his neck. The prosecution argued the attack was actually a hoax, which Smollett himself had staged. Each count of felony disorderly conduct carries a penalty of up to 3 years in prison.
Israel's Defense Minister Benny Gantz was in Washington to meet with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, as well as Secretary of State Antony Blinken. It comes as talks resumed in Vienna about trying to salvage the 2015 agreement to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities. Ahead of the meeting, Austin said he was deeply concerned with Iran's lack of constructive diplomatic engagement, while Gantz said the two allies would discuss military readiness with regards to Iran. U.S. officials are concerned about the progress of the talks in Vienna between the remaining signatories to the 2015 nuclear deal, which the U.S. withdrew from under former President Donald Trump. Here's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
We believe a diplomatic resolution offers the best path to avoiding a nuclear crisis. However, given the ongoing advances in Iran's nuclear program, the president has asked his team to be prepared in the event that diplomacy fails, and we must turn to other options.
The Pentagon declined to comment on a Reuters report indicating that the U.S. and Israel were involved in discussions about plans to attack Iran's nuclear facilities if a diplomatic solution can't be reached. There was a mixed close on Wall Street as investors digested record-low new jobless claims in the U.S. Gains were tempered by concerns over the Omicron coronavirus variant. FSN's Sarah Walton reports from the New York Stock Exchange.
The Dow closed flat on Thursday, up less than 0.1%. The S&P fell by 0.5%, while the Nasdaq dropped 1.7%. It comes as investors feared the introduction of stricter health restrictions in Europe in the face of the new Omicron variant of coronavirus could impact the wider global economy. Stocks and travel firms were amongst those most impacted. Carnival, Royal Caribbean and Norwegian Cruise Line all down around 1%. But there was positive economic data revealing the number of Americans filing for new unemployment benefits fell to 184,000 last week. That's its lowest level for 52 years.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at Olaf Scholz, the new Chancellor of Germany. He's been sworn in to succeed Angela Merkel as she ends her remarkable 16-year run. The new Chancellor will lead a three-party coalition and is promising to implement a new progressive agenda for the country. FSN's Trent Murray in our Berlin bureau told us more about the new man at the top.
The 63-year-old was the Vice-Chancellor under Angela Merkel. He was also her finance minister before that. Before his federal career, he was the mayor of Hamburg, which is Germany's second biggest city. So he is no stranger to working in politics. He leads the centre-left Social Democrats, and he has formed a government consisting both of them and two coalition partners. One is the Ecological Green Party. The other is the pro-business Free Democrats Party. They all have quite different views on how to tackle many of the challenges facing Germany, but they are saying they do want to work together using pragmatism, and they are operating under the joint slogan, Dare to Make More Progress.
Alongside Olaf Scholz, 16 government ministers took their oaths of office yesterday. For the first time, a German cabinet with an equal number of women and men. The Chancellor's immediate challenge, dealing with COVID-19 and keeping his coalition together. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. Actor Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct for lying to police about being the victim of a racist and homophobic assault. U.S. and Israeli officials meet to discuss Iran and what the Pentagon calls Tehran's destabilizing activities. And a mixed close on Wall Street as investors digest record-low new jobless claims and concerns over the Omicron variant. That is the latest Feature Story News. Ira Spitzer reporting.
It's the Onion Radio News. The nation's last remaining themeless restaurant has closed. This is Doyle Redland reporting. A once vibrant era came to an end today when Pat's Place, the nation's last themeless restaurant, closed its doors in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. During the heyday of themeless restaurants, Pat's Place achieved a certain amount of notoriety for its unique non-themed food items and unadorned atmosphere. But according to owner Patrick Baines, the times have changed.
Lately, we've had only a handful of people coming in to gawk at our posterless walls and mundanely named menu items like hamburgers or pancakes, and then they go someplace like the Rainforest Cafe or Johnny Rockets to actually eat.
Plans are now in the works to convert the Pat's Place location into Cedar Rapids' 7th Patty-O Touchdown sports bar and good time internet grill. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us, take control of the airwaves. We kick off the third hour of the show at 603-283-6160. We're talking about artificial intelligence and taking our jobs.
Taking our jobs.
The jobs no one really wanted anyway. 603-283-6160. And as Bonnie pointed out, there will be more jobs. There will
Probably
be
more jobs than before if there's robots.
more things invented for people to do once the crappiest jobs are taken by robots. We can continue the discussion here. Ian, Bonnie, and Matt in the studio tonight. We're also going to go to your phone calls and thoughts. The number again, 603-283-6160. According to a survey conducted by Tidio, TIDIO.com, they surveyed over 1,200 people. And nearly 69% of college graduates think AI could take their job and make it irrelevant in a few years. And they're predicting cashiers, drivers, and translators are going to be some of the first jobs to be replaced. Third point, more than 45% of people have a positive attitude toward AI taking control of the economy. Some claim that AI could prevent corruption and improve the economy. Well, as long as there's a government gang around, you're not going to prevent corruption. They're firmly ensconced in control over our lives, and power corrupts. And if they start using robots, it'll just, they'll just be robots used to abuse and harm people, like those police robots. More than 60% of respondents would use a self-driving AI taxi during heavy traffic.
Terrifying.
According to that story. Would you? Would you guys?
No.
Yeah, I give it a shot. Why not?
During heavy traffic, I wonder if that would mean that it's safer because the thing's going slower?
The idea of speeding at 70 miles an hour down a highway on something that I can't control is just no.
Well, the question is a taxi. So would you take any taxi? Because you're not in control of a human-controlled taxi.
Well, even a human isn't in control of is kind of scary because it could just be this is the turn. Sometimes Google Maps does that. It's just this is the turn. I mean, if you were just following Google Maps and you did what it said, no matter what, because you're a robot.
Mm-hmm. Crank a hard right at 30 miles an hour. And
yeah, on a bridge. Sometimes in San Antonio and Austin, it was just being built up so fast. It was happening faster than Google Maps could, account for. Mm-hmm. And I would be on a overhead bridge, and it would think I was on the ground. So I mean, it would be turn left here, and you would fly off into space.
Yeah.
So what if Google Maps is the people that are behind the future self-driving cars,
right,
and it just is I'm a robot. I do what Google Maps says, and it just flies off. That's terrifying. At least a human wouldn't do that.
An error like that could be quite destructive.
The phone's lighting up. I wonder if that's Sarah.
Why, you're right about that. Somebody who is a big fan of artificial intelligence when it comes to cars. No, I think Sarah wants to see AI cars. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. You were guessing.
Yeah,
you didn't.
I was totally guessing. My favorite is the RoboCops, red light cameras. They do a way better job of policing drivers than real police officers. That's why they hate those things so much.
But you're saying the police hate red light cameras?
No, I'm talking about the drivers.
I hate them because they're useless.
They want the cops to do live cops. For every 100 times they speed, they're gonna get caught only once. A red light camera, they'll get them 100% of the time they make a traffic mistake.
Oh no, somebody went when the robot told them not to go when it was perfectly safe for them to go. I do this literally hundreds of times, at least a month. Does that put anybody in danger? I don't think so. I as long as I can see, I wouldn't do it on a red light where I absolutely couldn't see. But if I can see there's nobody coming and I'm just sitting here for no reason, I'm not going to sit there like a slave. I'm just going to go.
More people should do that and make their own choices for themselves rather than let their lives be run by these machines. But Sarah, you just love obedience.
But I called in today because of a different subject.
All right.
Whoa.
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing is that, it's obvious that Russian communists have never been collapsed. And they've never been capitalist because they're ready to invade Ukraine and take it back like it was before up to, was it Eastern Europe? The Soviet Union had control and authority over the all of
Hold on a
Eastern
second.
Europe.
Wait a minute. Sarah, aren't you a communist?
Well, yeah, you remember, huh?
Yeah, I
right?
remember. I remember you saying you were going to like commie meetings. So are you in favor of invading Ukraine?
Well, of course. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Why?
Why are you so
What kind of a monster are you?
Well, the thing is that they're able to do this because our U.S. is so weak right now. They want
No, that didn't
soldiers to
answer me.
fight.
Why would you be in favor of invading peaceful people? Why would you be in favor of that, even as a communist?
Well, because the communist ideal is a really wonderful thing to have, to make everybody equal. And
Has that been working for Russia?
Ever?
No, it
didn't. It's working for the people. I mean,
No,
you'll have your separate country, but it'll be more equal. Like
they have laws against being gay in Russia.
They do.
Well, the thing is, that it's sad, but I mean, it's kind of like they would kill people like Trump, for example, a capitalist. And I do feel kind of sorry about that. And as long as they don't kill the capitalists when they take over.
You know what happens when you invade another country, right? They don't go in with party balloons and, stuffed animals to throw around to all the kids. They drop bombs and they
kill people, lots of
murder
them.
people. They shoot them to death. You understand that's what happens, right?
Right. And of course, the capitalists have done them to the Eastern Europe.
And you're
Yugoslavia
supporting
in the
that.
past, and nobody has done that. So the only
Hold
way
on.
that you're
Sarah,
going to...
Sarah, you're supporting killing people. Because
Well,
you
actually,
think
I
your
am.
way is quote-unquote wonderful. Well, look,
Well, because here's the thing. There's no other way to talk to a capitalist that's
Than to kill them?
take and abuse people. It only takes aggression.
It doesn't make any sense to say that a capitalist would want to abuse somebody. A capitalist wants to sell people something. The last thing you want to do to somebody you're trying to sell something to is abuse them. You're trying to get them to agree to give you their money. If you're going to do that, you certainly don't want to abuse them. You want to be nice to them, and you better sell them a good product, or they're not going to ever come back to you.
I don't think she's heard how many people communism has killed.
Communism is literally a death cult.
Yeah.
There's no bloodier political philosophy than communism.
Well, the capitalists have caused wars, and the capitalists have killed
there's people who
just
call
as much
themselves
as
capitalists who have caused wars. There's no doubt about it. And on this show, we are against war, whether it's the communists or capitalists or whatever ists or whatever isms or whatever you want to talk about.
Or Russia invading Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm against it because I'm in favor of peace. And if your ideas are so great, Sarah, then why can't you just convince people?
Well, she already admitted that she has a low IQ and brain damage or whatever hasn't worked since she was 17 and she's in her 50s. I don't see why she thinks that any of her ideas
You haven't worked
should
since
be...
you were 17?
Oh, 18. That's when I wind up in the
Why?
hospital. I mean, I never worked on the books where I paid taxes, but I cleaned houses and stuff like that.
Good for you. That's good, but that's
volunteer work,
I'd hate to
but-
break it to you, but that's extremely capitalist of you.
Well, I mean, it's non-profit. Capitalism is about making money.
Wait, you
know,
cleaned
for
houses
yourself.
for no money?
Well, I mean, they helped me out. I didn't get paid. No, I mean, no.
You're just saying that to placate any IRS idiots that might be listening. We know for a fact you got paid. It's okay, and you don't have to say that you did. I understand, but the fact that you took value in for your labor is capitalism. Good for you. I'm glad you did that.
Even if it was just like a place to stay for cleaning, I'd still consider that.
That's capitalism.
Yeah.
And she's actually, she said the other day she was doing that now, where she's trading. She's given $150 towards the utilities, and she's cleaning the place that she's currently living.
Pure capitalism.
And she's making a trade. She's no longer living in a welfare house, and I congratulated
her.
Yeah, I congratulated her
Good
for that.
her. That's good capitalism.
But Sarah, if communism is so great, then you shouldn't need to spread it at the barrel of a gun. People should be signing up
People be
left
lining
and
up
right.
for it. They'd be like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's do
And
this.
ask yourself why you need to use violence. She said you need to use aggression.
It's already failed.
Yeah, right. Anything you need to use aggression for to get out there is a terrible idea, and it will constantly be resisted with violence if necessary. Thank you, Sarah, for the call. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Brute force, intransigent defiance, adamantine will. These are the hallmarks of the AI tank. These gigantic machines have the firepower of an army, but they also have their own sense of honor and duty. When the world breakers arrive, battle will be joined, planets will shake, and war and peace will never be the same again. World Breakers. Stories from David Weber, Larry Correia, and more. Available August 3rd from BaneBooks.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want right here. Number 603-283-6160. You want to weigh in on the future of AI taking our jobs? You can do that here. With you in the studio, by the way, it's Ian.
It's Bonnie.
And Matt.
And Free Talk Live is brought to you by the BitBox, which is a hardware wallet for cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you can get a BitBox over at box.freetalklive.com. You can also win a BitBox. We are doing another giveaway. We've already given away one BitBox, and the next one is going to go to a lucky member of the Free Talk Live AMPS program. We mentioned AMPS earlier. If you sign up over at amps.freetalklive.com, you will be in the drawing. We're going to do that toward the end of the year. We're talking about maybe doing New Year's Eve. We'll do a special Free Talk Live and then draw the BitBox winner from somebody who is one of our amps. Head over to amps.freetalklive.com and check out the BitBox over at box.freetalklive.com. So we're talking about artificial intelligence, but first we go to the phones, to the fun. I believe we've got Major Payne on the line in Michigan.
Hey, peace to the populace.
What's on your mind?
Yes, I wish to address the root of the tree instead of pruning the branches. I mean, we've been suffering from government takeover on all fronts. It seems to be an unsurmountable battle to most of us. I mean, it's inconceivable that our own country could be attacking us. But,
why is that inconceivable?
Well, how can you believe that all of the peaceable things that surround you can be consuming you? And I mean, I'm better than 6 decades old, and I have watched the world change before my eyes. It's like I woke up as Rip Van Winkle.
Well, I don't consider the people, first of all, I consider the people around me to be mostly peaceful, but the government people are not. And so, of course, they're going to consume.
What I'm talking about is the consumption of the government. I'm going back to the New Deal. This is the first time that it was financially, fiscally responsible to take the father out of the home.
And do you think that's when that started?
Is that when they added more social programs, or
the New Deal was a huge addition of social programs?
Oh yeah, this is FDR. The first time that
FDR was basically a full-blown socialist.
Were voted in. Yeah, and now we're confronted with the new Green Deal.
Sure, or the Build Back Better. I mean, they're really talking about dwarfing the New Deal as far as what it did. It's sort of like the newest version of that.
Every pot deserves a chicken.
Dude, I'm telling you, I've been listening to you for about 20 years.
Wow, thanks.
On DC radio, right? I'm not connected to the grid. I am the caveman.
Okay.
Yet I live in the woods, so I guess you'd be closer to call me Shrek.
All right, Shrek. What are we going to do about it, Shrek?
Well, I don't have a good donkey. My mule is broke.
Well, I think the reason that it seems inconceivable to people of like an older generation, no offense, is just that it used to be so much easier to be just, I mean, let me explain it this way. It used to be a lot harder to get information that wasn't just propaganda. Now that, like, the whole time I've been alive, I've pretty much been like, the government is bad. And my parents, my dad was in the army, but he always, like, would say things about how the government's bad. Then, you know, I find out about, like, MK Ultra in 2011, and I start researching that, and I'm just like, whoa, the government is bad. And,
like, you know, bad. Really bad.
And I just think that the older generation, like, you didn't have the internet, so it was a lot easier to just be like, oh yeah, we're going to war because we're helping people and America's just good guys.
Someone shot Prince Ferdinand.
Right.
Well,
that's a great point, Bonnie.
They flood us with mindless fodder just to keep us distracted. I mean, that's the whole MO.
That's what bread and circuses are all about. And thank you for the call, Major Payne. And so, Bonnie, you're pointing out that older generations didn't have as much information when they were growing up as you do, as younger generations do.
And that's why I think, like, baby boomers, even if they start to catch on to something, it's like they can't break the programming. Like, they're like, okay, so Biden's bad. That means that I have to back the cops, you know. They can't fully break out of their programming.
And you're just like, no.
But are people of your age breaking out of the programming, or are you just a lucky, example?
I think that, seriously, most young people do not like the federal government. It's just that they think that there's, like, these people like AOC, who I have a story about tonight. they think that people like that are here to save them from it, and they also are.
So they're buying into it.
They're buying into it in a different
They
way,
just
though.
put a young face on the same old system, and they're buying into it.
They think that like capitalism is a problem. Like, oh, capitalism
So
is
they've
just
been indoctrinated
overworked.
by the government schools to believe that. Right?
It's just a different. It's just a different angle. It's not like I think that it's better or worse, but I think that they're more likely to completely get out of their programming.
I hope you're right about that.
I don't think a lot of them understand what communism is and what capitalism is. I mean, Sarah is not.
She's in her 50s.
In her 20s, and she still thinks that. So that said, there's severe economic illiteracy in this country.
Yeah.
And it's horrible.
And thank the government schools for that.
Thanks the government schools for that.
The best thing you can do, parents, get your kids out of government schools. Back to AI stats in the survey here. More than 60% of respondents would use a self-driving AI taxi during heavy traffic. I got to say, I'm not really interested in self-driving cars at all. I like driving.
Yeah.
I like having the control of taking myself to a place or taking someone else to a place, and I don't want some robot doing that.
Yeah, and if I want to drive into the woods to get away from some cops, I'd rather be able to have the ability to do that instead of my car saying, you cannot go there.
Yeah,
that is the woods.
We're shutting you down.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that I think there shouldn't be self-driving cars, as in like the people who want to use them in New York City for taxis should be allowed to do that.
Yeah, I suspect the technology will get to be fairly safe. I mean, where there's very rarely an accident, and for a lot of people out there, they can't drive very well, so maybe they should be behind the the self-driving cars. Maybe that will result in fewer accidents. But
help New Mexico.
I, for one, I enjoy driving. I understand that there's more I could do. Like I could get some productive things done if I wanted to not drive. But it's just something I enjoy. So.
As far as safety goes, like if I was in a city I wasn't normally in or something like that, maybe I just hop in with those automated cabs and that's fine. It's like what the what do you call them? The trolleys that people used to hop on and ride from one side of town to the other. It's just that, except more granular. I'm not afraid of it.
That's a good point. People are 7 times more worried about the negative impact of AI on the job market than fair treatment of robots. According to the survey, only 32% of respondents say that robot rights is a topic we shouldn't worry about. Okay, so that means a lot of them do want to worry about it. They believe it's one of the... Oh, okay. So no, they're saying we shouldn't worry about it. So...
What are robot rights? Like, what kind of rights would a robot have?
Well, that's the question that they haven't really figured out yet is, should a robot have rights at all? Or should they be treated as a total servant class?
Does a robot have moral agency?
Not yet. But how will we know when, it'll be, at some point it's going to get difficult to tell the difference between artificial intelligence and human intelligence.
Does the robot have to be 18 years old in order to have moral authority?
That's another excellent question. There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
If you want to bring more liberty into your community, there's something you should see. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, break through. It's true. It's truly something new. If you'd like to see real prosperity, start your own currency, boost the economy. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, its impact's hard to overstate, results you can appreciate. If you're tired of relying on the state, want to make your own community great, homelessness and hunger to eliminate, let the wealth accumulate. Don't wait for the growth rate to accelerate. Go to intercoin.org and get the coins for yourself.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. actor Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of 5 counts of felony disorderly conduct. Prosecutors say he lied to police about being the victim of a racist and homophobic assault. FSN's U.S. correspondent Rachel Silverman has details.
The Chicago jury found the actor Jussie Smollett guilty after deliberating for more than 9 hours. The trial stemmed from an incident in January 2019. Smollett told police he was set upon by two assailants who yelled a Trump slogan, dumped a chemical substance on him, and tied a noose around his neck. The prosecution argued the attack was actually a hoax, which Smollett himself had staged. Each count of felony disorderly conduct carries a penalty of up to 3 years in prison.
Israel's Defense Minister Benny Gantz was in Washington to meet with U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin as well as Secretary of State Antony Blinken. It comes as talks resumed in Vienna about trying to salvage the 2015 agreement to limit Iran's nuclear capabilities. Ahead of the meeting, Austin said he was deeply concerned with Iran's lack of constructive diplomatic engagement, while Gantz said the two allies would discuss military readiness with regards to Iran. U.S. officials are concerned about the progress of the talks in Vienna between the remaining signatories to the 2015 nuclear deal, which the U.S. withdrew from under former President Donald Trump. Here's White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki.
We believe a diplomatic resolution offers the best path to avoiding a nuclear crisis. However, given the ongoing advances in Iran's nuclear program, the president has asked his team to be prepared in the event that diplomacy fails, and we must turn to other options.
The Pentagon declined to comment on a Reuters report indicating that the U.S. and Israel were involved in discussions about plans to attack Iran's nuclear facilities if a diplomatic solution can't be reached. There was a mixed close on Wall Street as investors digested record-low new jobless claims in the U.S. Gains were tempered by concerns over the Omicron coronavirus variant. FSN's Sarah Walton reports from the New York Stock Exchange.
The Dow closed flat on Thursday, up less than 0.1%. The S&P fell by 0.5%, while the Nasdaq dropped 1.7%. It comes as investors feared the introduction of stricter health restrictions in Europe in the face of the new Omicron variant of coronavirus could impact the wider global economy. Stocks in travel firms were amongst those most impacted. Carnival, Royal Caribbean and Norwegian Cruise Line all down around 1%. But there was positive economic data revealing the number of Americans filing for new unemployment benefits fell to 184,000 last week. That's its lowest level for 52 years.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. You join us if you want. The number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We're talking about artificial so-called intelligence and what the future's looking like. What people believe is coming soon as far as trends are concerned. What jobs are going to be lost to AI sooner rather than later. With you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
It's Bonnie.
And Matt.
And don't forget, you can join us online anytime you want over at freetalklive.com. We've got a social media platform that we launched earlier this year to give you an alternative to these big tech platforms like Twitter and Facebook that are constantly banning people, constantly taking down folks that they don't like. The Maxwell Trial Tracker account on Twitter was taken down this week. I believe it was subsequently reinstated, but there was quite a bit of hubbub over that because the Maxwell Trial Tracker account was saying when they first created the account, we fully expect this account is going to be taken down, and sure enough, less than a week later, Twitter had banned the account. So
I guess some CIA agents got shown in that court case to have been abusing children.
Shocking.
I wish
that's insane. Who would have thought?
Wouldn't it be awesome if they found out the FBI agents behind the Crypto 6 were behind some dirty stuff, and that way they had to get completely
throw out all
the case.
That'd be nice.
You know, it's funny. I suspect that those people who were involved with the Crypto 6 case are completely on lackey levels. I think
just
they're
doing some
absolute
dirty work.
Lackeys. Yeah, they're just lackeys. I don't think they're allowed to be involved. I saw enough of them to believe that they aren't at a high enough level as operatives to be able to break the law blatantly like that. Like they have to ask.
They're just tools.
They're just tools.
I don't know. The redheaded lady seemed like she was evil incarnate when she was talking to me.
She totally was. I agree. That lady, I'm guaranteed she beats her wife.
Yeah, she had like a personality change in front of me. Literally.
Oh yeah, she's a psycho. There's no. I know what you're talking about.
She did it twice.
I sat across from her for half an hour, and she was absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
You're talking about Catherine Thibault, the agent.
Is that her name? Never got her name.
Thibault with a
K. French Thibault.
Catherine with a K, I believe.
Yeah, not Tim Tebow.
All right, so a couple more stats here, right, from the AI survey from Tidio.com. Almost 78% of respondents are convinced that AI will be used to spread misinformation. Apart from the fear of AI taking away jobs, which 42% of respondents believed, or being used by criminals, 51%, the survey respondents are concerned about the misuse of AI tech to spread misinformation. Some 78% strongly believe this will be the main threat from artificial intelligence. By comparison, only 3% believe that AI will take revenge on humanity, like Skynet or some other kind of situation that we've seen in the movies. So,
be a good reason to give them rights.
Now, how would AI tech be used to spread misinformation? Like, for instance, we're seeing with Facebook and Twitter using algorithms to search out certain people's posts using whatever terminology and automatically slash those posts and ban those accounts. Would that be an example of spreading misinformation?
The word misinformation is retarded. It's just whatever the government doesn't want people to think is true, which is just so stupid.
Well, right. I was using it to describe the things that they want to stop.
Yes.
Right? But they're going to promote the things that they want to promote. And I think that's a legitimate concern. I think people are, legitimately concerned that AI can be used to censor.
Sure.
Men are twice as likely as women to put their trust in artificial intelligence. According to the survey, they place significantly more trust. They're about twice as likely to have an AI robot operate on them or teach their children, and they are also less concerned about potential threats posed by the technology.
I'm going to go ahead and pass on both those things.
Operate
You don't
on
want to be
you.
operated on by a robot?
Not one bit. Surgical procedures require some outside the box thinking sometimes. We are not machines. Humans are not machines. Organs are different. Hearts are in slightly different spots from person to person. It could be off by a little bit. So I'm not really, what if, human doctors, when they get in there, they're doing a surgery, they might find something else wrong.
Yeah, true.
They can sew that up while they're there. Well, we'll get this taken care of right now while we're in here. Let's do this. That's great.
On the other hand, the robot's less likely to leave a towel inside you and sew you back up. That's happened before.
That might be true, actually. If you have a robot that's accounting for bits that it's putting in you, it'll probably have a process for taking them out before it closes you up.
They're not going to have a shaky hand either. Right.
That's true.
Although a good surgeon probably doesn't in the first place.
Surgeons already use robots. Like they use little cameras on the end of a long thing to go inside of you and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and of course they may end up having the nanobots, right, that they can just inject into you and then they just go through your bloodstream and repair you from the inside.
Yeah, the gray mass, right? Isn't that what they call it? The gray mass or the gray ooze?
I've not heard that.
It's nanobots are what the anti-AI people are most worried about. Like coming out, they're just going to get into the ocean. They're going to reproduce. The electrolytes in the ocean are going to give them all the power they need. They're going to go absolutely bonkers, and they're going to take over the land. It'll be one big slimy gray ooze. It's all robotic coming up over the land, killing everything in sight.
Male respondents are 20% more willing to interact with robots and AI. Existing robot and AI representations from fiction and real life are more appealing to men than women. We used a range of examples and asked respondents if they were willing to interact with selected robots. On average, 65% of male respondents said yes, but only 45% of women also did.
Sounds to me like this is all coming from action movies. Men like action movies, so they think robots are cool and women don't.
I was going to go the porno route, but okay.
Well, that's what the next one is. The final point.
Oh, I see.
42%, nearly 42% of people would have sex with a humanoid robot. Yes, about 42% of respondents would have sexual intercourse with a robot, yet only 39% believe they could have a romantic relationship.
That many people?
With an AI.
How many?
39%, so roughly 4 out of 10. There's also, get this, a large discrepancy between men and women. Men are more open to both the idea of sleeping with a robot, 48%, and falling in love with an AI, 43%. But for whatever reason, they don't give us the female numbers on that one.
Because it's 100%.
100.
What do you guys think? Female or male robots, sex bots? Would you guys be if you were lonely? Obviously, we have relationships and good relationships. But if you were, without a relationship, would you consider a robot?
No, I don't think. But it's very popular. The dudes with the real dolls, they dress them up, and
is that popular?
Yeah, and then there's some that are
married,
conceiving children together, and they have like a fake baby doll thing that they dress it up, and they and like, oh, time to change a diaper.
Have you seen the pictures of like the bodybuilder from Russia or something that like had a marriage ceremony for his sex doll?
No.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Russia, but it
But
was
then
like
he
one of
broke up
those-
with her and he started dating a ashtray.
That's a joke, right?
No. A like public ashtray that came from a restaurant and he had to buy it. I'll have to
This
pull the
guy's got to
story.
be trolling.
That's what I thought when I first heard the story. And if he's trolling, it is a deep, deep troll because, like, he's got an Instagram account with multiple, like, photos with this sex doll going back and, like, serious wedding photos with a group of people there and everything. So if it's a troll, it's an elaborate level troll.
I don't put it past people.
And he's Russian, right?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I think he's one of those kind of former Russian states or something like that, but it's pretty crazy. It's crazy stuff. So if you want to comment on the future of AI, you're certainly welcome to join us.
Well, sorry, I just have one
that's
more
fine.
comment on
Please.
that. A robot is definitely a no for me, but what do you guys think about, like, if aliens came down? Would you be in a relationship with an alien if they were normal?
Is she hot?
I guess they could be hot.
Is she anatomically correct?
I don't know. They
the
have
whole
one
point
eye.
of a relationship is to connect with someone else, and in theory, an alien you could do that with. Whereas a robot, it's at least at this point, a lifeless hunk of metal and plastic or whatever. So you can't actually have a connection with that.
Yeah.
But, if there's an alien babe, okay.
Are we talking? Is there a soul involved here or not?
Right. That's the important.
That's what we're trying to
question,
get
right?
at.
Yeah. Exactly. So the number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Well, Facebook, they have released a new thing for the metaverse where people who don't want to meet in real life can meet online and live online. More coming up.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. Forkfest takes place the week after Porkfest, but Forkfest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest Forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Forkfest.party. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. 603-283-6160 is the number here. That's 603-283-6160. We were just looking up the bodybuilder guy who apparently, you said, Bonnie, has started dating an ashtray.
Yes.
If you can even use that terminology.
Well, he's in love with an ashtray.
He claims that he is in love with an ashtray after having, I guess, did he just give up on his sex doll?
No, it was in the hospital being repaired.
Right, but, I mean, wasn't that an older story? And it said here that he's been, quote unquote, in the New York Post, quote unquote, dating the ashtray for a couple of months. Like, how long does it take to?
I see him looking at pictures. He seems happy with the ashtray.
Yeah, there's one where he's like straddling the ashtray.
He's definitely humping the ashtray.
Wearing underwear and a pair of shoes, and that's about it. Fascinating. I don't know. Like you said, Matt, is this guy trolling? Is this guy, really obsessed with these objects, or is it just a way to get thousands of viewers on Instagram?
He's crushing it.
I mean, he does have photos here of people at the quote-unquote wedding ceremony that he had with this sex doll. So there's at least a large crowd of people that maybe he hired. Maybe, his friends are kind of in on this with him. But, I mean, he had to hire at least a dozen people here to take these photographs with.
Any reason for a party,
I guess. The story here does say that it could be a real paraphilia, which is commonly defined as, quote, a condition characterized by abnormal sexual desires, typically involving extreme or dangerous activities, sometimes referred to as algmatophilia. It's a kink in which individuals derive sexual arousal from an attraction to, usually nude statues, dolls, mannequins, and or other similar body-shaped objects.
Yeah, but this isn't body-shaped.
It's a black cube-shaped tall, like one of those sand ashtrays.
Rectangular thing. On the paraphilia spectrum, object sexuality widens the net to include people, quote, who develop deep emotional and or romantic attachments to and have relationships with specific inanimate objects or structures. How can you call this a relationship? Don't you have to have a
two-way
give and take? Yeah, a relation suggests there's something of consciousness on the other side.
Now, I could see myself going down this road if it was a car.
Yeah, there was a guy.
If it was a Porsche 911 or something really sexy that I really loved and gave back to me, you put into it, it gives back. That's people sexualize cars all the time. Motorcycles, things that are fast and hug turns and stuff like that. That's fun.
There was a guy that was in love with his car on, I forget what the show is called now.
Yeah, I would never make out with a car. I've seen that guy licking the hood of his car.
And it was like a Honda, right?
Yeah,
it was something.
It was a dumb car.
Dumb.
It wasn't cool.
Oh, by the way, speaking of robots taking over jobs, that's something that's been happening in the radio business for a long time. I remember when I first started in radio as a teenager in the late 1990s, we still actually played, it was on a music radio, rock radio station. We still played CDs. So you still had like a whole roster of CDs, and they were in these carts, and you'd put them in these very expensive CD players, and you had to queue up the start times for the songs and everything. And there was actually like some work that you had to do. And within a few years, they brought in a computer system and got rid of the CDs entirely, except for like some sort of emergency if the computer were to go down. We almost never needed the CDs. And then you could start recording what they called voice tracking in the business. So you could record your entire air shift. You could just come in at 9 in the morning or whatever, and you're doing the afternoon drive shift. Just lay down all the what they call voice tracks for the afternoon drive, and then leave.
It out.
You're gone for the day.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if all of a sudden drastically bad weather struck or some sort of urgent news event or something like that happened while you were gone, then you weren't there to talk about it, and it made your station sound completely irrelevant.
Right.
But the reality is, it was a way for the radio business to cut costs. And one of the things that they did right out the gate was they fired every overnight person across the board at the company I worked for, which was called Clear Channel Communications. And
Were you fired?
No. They're now known as iHeartMedia. That's their new name.
I didn't know you worked for Clear Channel.
Yeah, I did. That's where Free Talk Live started.
Oh, no kidding.
And so, no, I wasn't fired, but I wasn't one of the overnight people per se. I was sort of like the fill-in guy, and I did some weekend. I actually did some weekend overnights and some other shifts, but that was what they did. They got rid of the overnight people, and they just had somebody else from another market do that station's overnight shift. So if we were in Sarasota, Florida, they'd have one of the guys from Tampa do the voice track for the Sarasota station, and vice versa. So one of the guys from Sarasota would do a track for one of the Tampa overnights. So that way they still had a different voice on the air at nighttime. It wasn't one of the other station guys that was on during the day. So it sounded like someone was there if you weren't really paying close attention. So
right.
that was a way, if you think about it, right? Like if you just chopped off 1/5 of your entire staff, and think about the cost savings there. Well, now, according to Reuters, they're taking the next step. Headline here, that radio DJ you hear might already be a robot.
Whoa. So they are taking our jobs.
Those guys make horrible money anyways.
They really do. Yeah, it's true.
I changed my mind. I don't want robots to take our jobs.
Well, the idea that they're going to take talk radio's jobs are pretty slim.
Oh, that's different than a jockey?
Yeah, we're talking about disc jockeys whose job it is to simply announce songs and read every now and then, some sort of live promo for... coming down to the car lot, we're going to be giving away hot dogs this weekend, and you can get, that kind of thing. So Andy Chanley, the afternoon drive host at Southern California's public radio station KCSN, has been a radio DJ for over 32 years, and now, thanks to artificial intelligence technology, his voice will live on simultaneously in many places. Quote, "I may be a robot, but I still love to rock," says the robot DJ named ANDY with all capital letters, which stands for Artificial Neural Disc Jockey, in Chanley's voice during a demonstration for Reuters where the voice was hard to distinguish from a normal human disc jockey. "Our phones, speakers, and rice cookers have been talking to us for years, but their voices have been robotic." Seattle-based AI startup Well Said Labs says it has finessed the technology to create over 50 real human voice avatars like Andy so far, where the producer just needs to type in the text to create the narration. So they're talking about this technology could get rid of every single disc jockey on the planet, basically.
And that way, people who are delivering us our news don't need to have a conscience at all.
Yeah, that's right. That's scary.
I don't think they need to have one now.
I don't think they do already, but I mean, this is the final nail in the coffin for anything like that.
Well, right. And you guys have seen deepfakes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah, there's already deepfakes.
And there's that website that can generate a new human being every time you load the page.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one, too?
Yes.
I wish I could remember the URL of that one. I'll look it up when we get off the air. It's crazy how realistic those photos are.
Yep.
So we're already to the point where they already have artificial influencers now. So there's Instagram accounts of just completely generated human beings who aren't even real people per se. There's some company behind it, writing scripts of what those people are quote unquote saying, and promoting whatever advertisers are buying their sponsorships.
Yeah, I saw on Snapchat like yesterday that the one named Michaela, like with a Q, it's just a fake person.
She's been around for years, right?
Yeah, she's like one of the oldest ones. Posted like a joke, and I thought that was so stupid and annoying. Like, obviously this is just some old man who is in charge of the company who like posted this joke. Basically, it's like, why would anybody be like, oh, I'm such a fan? Would anybody actually laugh out loud at somebody making a joke that is a AI?
What did the comments say? Were the comments all positive? It doesn't
have comments on Snapchat. So I was wondering that. I was just like, does anybody actually like this thing? It's so weird.
Zach Zallen, the CEO of the startup Super Hi-Fi, said Andy will be integrated into its AI platform that automates music production. So instead of a music playlist, Andy can DJ the experience, including the songs, or introducing the songs and talking about them. The next step will be for the AI to automate the text that is created by humans as well. He says that's really the triumvirate that we think is going to take this to the next level. So they're talking about replacing the guy that writes the scripts with AI.
That's crazy.
In this case.
I've let the whole episode, this whole episode of Free Talk Live go by without saying the word Monero one time.
But it is on your shirt.
It is. I got a hoodie with my, it's Monero time. But I want to throw it out there that there is a YouTube channel called Monero Bear, and he makes Monero-based rap songs, and they are hilarious.
You were playing some of it during one of the breaks. It sounds really entertaining.
It's awesome, and he released 2 new songs today, whoever he is. You should go check it out if you're listening.
Monero Bear.
Monero Bear. It's awesome.
There you go. There's a recommendation for you from DJ Matt.
Yeah, and he's 100% real. It's a real guy. That's right.
He used to do a pirate radio station.
I did.
Is it sad? Are you sad to hear about this? Like the elimination of
I like spinning the hits. I think there'll still be little radio stations out there where some dude spinning vinyl or whatever.
I mean, yeah, I hope so. But it's getting more and more robotic over time. It's sad. It's sad stuff. We'll see you tomorrow night. You can join us online in the meantime over at freetalklive.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists,